Good morning, everybody. David Storm sitting in right now. It's 9:03 a.m. You've been hanging out with Richard Dees all morning, and we have been celebrating his 47th anniversary in radio. And we have kind of flipped the script on Richard now. I've taken over the main broadcast mic. He's on the other side of the table, and it is my honor, privilege to introduce the man who we celebrate today, who I'm going to be interviewing for the next hour, Richard Dees. Good morning.
Good morning, David, and kind of unusual for me to be broadcasting on this side of the microphone. I'm usually sitting over there in the control chair where you're sitting, and someone else is sitting over here being the subject of the interview. So this is kind of a first time and unusual for me to be on this side of the mic.
That was one of the things I was going to say. You and I have a lot of similarities.
Yes.
One of those similarities, both creatures of habit. It shakes you a little when you're so used to something and you have to do something different. 47 years. 25 of those you've been behind this very desk.
Yes, WABL. I started here in the spring of 1969.
Now, for everybody out there, and I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. They said one of the most fun things to do about radio is hear the person speaking on the radio and then try to envision what they look like based on our voices. And we do that too. You talk to somebody on the phone for the first time. You try to you want to put a face naturally.
Yeah, you try to picture them.
So this may or may not embarrass you a little bit. I want to date you a little bit. Okay? 47 years in radio. You don't look that old to me. How old were you when you started?
I was 14 years and 10 months, 2 months before my 15th birthday.
See, now that's illegal today. You can't do that anymore. You have to be a work permit and 16. How did you get into radio at 14 years and 10 months?
Well, I did have to have a work permit from the school board because I was under 16. I was supposed to work about 10 or 12 hours a month. I did violate that the first week.
We were supposed
The first 2 days, I violated that 12 hours a week rule. And the statutes of limitations has expired. I broke that rule every week till I was 16.
Okay. So I want to ask you, my first job was I worked for a grocery store. Yes. I was a buggy boy. Just usual manual labor, the not fun job that most teenagers have. This I consider to be a grown-up career job. Happy to have it. It's the career that you're not really working at when you're working because it's that fun, passionate thing.
Oh, yeah.
How the hell did you get that lucky to score that job at 14?
Well, my mother was a secretary in one of the insurance offices in A8. Her boss played golf with the owner of the radio station, and he kept having to cancel his Wednesday afternoon golf game because DJs didn't want to show up, so he had to come in and work on the air. And he happened to mention, I'd hire somebody right now if they'd show up when they're supposed to. My mom says, I have a son who wants to be in radio. He's kind of young. How does he do it? She looked at him, says, tell him to get an FCC license, and the job is his. Without even talking to me or anything.
Not even asking, how old is your son? Just get him a license, bring him in, and I'll put him to work.
Yeah. And when I got there, some of them didn't think my voice was very well. The owner, however, said, he's got the license, he's own, we'll train the voice later.
There you go. 47 years later, he is here. No, 47 years is an amazing career. I'm sure that and I know from doing my homework a little bit with you, that there are some really cool, interesting stories. A whole lot in the history of the United States happened in your first 3 months of radio. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. I don't want to give it all away early. All morning long, we've been listening to music from 1969, the year that you started in radio, and we let you handpick the music this time around. This is Richard's day. We're gonna let him pick out his favorite tunes, and he's got a really good one right here. We've got Canned Heat going up the country for you right now. We're gonna be back with a whole lot more for Richard Dees all this hour right here as we celebrate his 47th anniversary in radio. So thanks for sticking around with us, David Storm and Richard Dees. Here's Canned Heat on WABL. You're listening to 97.3 FM, 1570 AM, the heart and soul of A-Meat, WABL.
Hi, I'm Randy Folks, your guy for air conditioning and heating, and I'd like everyone to be more comfortable. That's right, because we now have the latest Ruud comfort cooling and heating systems for your home or business. Call Folks Air Conditioning and Heating today at 985-748-8838 for a free estimate on how much you can save each month. Ruud Comfort Systems with its all-new technology will get you comfortable about lower utility cost. Get more comfortable with having minimum repair bills. Get even more comfortable with indoor air quality and humidity control. And while you're at it, you can get extremely comfortable with our easy low financing in less than 10 minutes. Call Folks Air Conditioning and Heating today at 985-748-8838. That's 985-748-8838 and get more comfortable.
Smitty's Supply Incorporated, Highway 51 North Roseland, is one of the leading manufacturers in the world of lubricants and related products, delivering products of the highest quality at the most competitive pricing. Smitty's also distributes Shell, Pennzoil, Quaker State, Chevron, Texaco, and other major brand lubricants and products. Smitty's Supply, Highway 51 North Roseland, phone 1-800-256-7575. Smitty's Supply Incorporated, Roseland.
The following rules apply to all WABL contests and giveaways. Contest winners are allowed one win per household every 30 days. Contests are open to legal U.S. residents age 18 or older at the time of entry and must hold a valid ID showing residence within the WABL listening area. No one currently employed or employed within the last year by WABL nor their immediate family is eligible to participate in contests. For a complete list of all WABL contest rules, visit our website, wablradio.com.
Good morning, everybody. 12 minutes after 9 o'clock. David Storm with you this morning. And it is a once-in-a-lifetime day for me and for the gentleman here with me. We're celebrating an iconic 47-year anniversary in radio with Richard Dees, WABL's own original outlaw, is here with us today. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for thank you for allowing me to join you. It's been your show all day.
Well, thank you, David, for helping me.
Oh, my pleasure, honestly. As somebody, I've been involved in broadcast and radio for not nearly close enough to hold a candle to your accomplishment, but a decade or so of my own. It really is interesting to hear the stories of a storied radio journeyman. And yours is an amazing story. We're telling the story all this hour, and I'm glad that you're here to actually tell the story because I could do it no justice. 47 years in radio. You started in 1969, June of 1969, at the ripe old age of 14 years, 10 months old.
Yes, right before my 15th birthday. I couldn't even drive a car. When I went to get the FCC license, I had to take a test in New Orleans. My mother and father drove me there. I was 14. I couldn't drive. And my daddy had warned me about something. One of the other DJs said, sometimes you fail the test the first time and you have to go back a second or even a third time. I happened to mention that to my dad. He shook his head.
Bad idea.
He says, no, Richard, you have one chance to take this test. I'm not driving to New Orleans but one time. So you study this book real good because in 2 weeks we're going to New Orleans. We're taking you to the FCC office. You're going to take your test. And if you don't pass it, you can go look for a job at the gas station.
And it was on that day a young Richard Dees stepped out of the Matrix, locked himself in a room, and memorized an FCC handbook.
Memorized the FCC handbook. And when I actually took the test, it was a 3-part written test. And they gave you about 2 hours for all 3 parts.
That year in high school, he failed every exam but the FCC test.
The FCC
passed
test.
it with flying colors.
I did. I missed one question on the entire...
I'm joking. I didn't do that homework. He probably was a very good student in school.
I was a C student in school.
Yeah, that's average.
But anyway, I was an A student on the FCC exam, that 3-part written test. I missed one question on the entire test. And I only took about 1/3 of the time allotted to me to take the test.
And looking back now, that's the only test that mattered.
Yes, I'd hand in part 1 to get part 2. Well, you still got 10 more minutes on this. I'm through, ma'am. I'll take the next part now. And that 2-hour test wound up taking me about 40 minutes.
Well played, sir.
Yeah, and she graded it while I was there because she wasn't busy. and told me I'd passed before I left. So I already knew I passed, but it was going to be about 30 days before the license was processed. So all I could do was train for those 30 days. I wasn't allowed to work alone.
Your start date in June 1969, is that an official start date after you received the license?
Yeah,
or is
that's after I received the license. I actually started training about May 16th or 17th.
Okay. So I did a little bit of history research, actually, with your help, back in 1969, and some pretty iconic things in American history happened back in 1969. There was the moon landing, Ted Kennedy and driving his car off the cliff, and that whole thing.
Chappaquiddick, yes.
And Woodstock all happened that year after you got your start in radio.
Yes.
My question in regards to those things, being a 14, 15-year-old, with all due respect, kid.
Yeah, I was a kid, yeah.
What was it like having these larger-than-life, looking back now, seeing that there were history-making events happening before you, and you had to broadcast those on air? Like, as a kid, did you have a good understanding of what was happening and how it was really going to shape American history moving forward?
I wasn't really sure. I was, more into music than news at that time. I knew those events were important, and I was smart enough at that age to know that when Senator Kennedy drove off the bridge and the lady who was not his wife was killed, and he didn't report it for 9 hours. All those factors combined, I knew he wasn't going to be president of the United States anytime in the near future anyway. And as it turned out, not ever. And, if that had not happened, he very well may have been president in 76 instead of Jimmy Carter. If he wouldn't have been tainted, he could have run for the nomination in 76.
How changes the course of American history.
Yes.
So Woodstock happened during your third month in radio.
Yes, it was my 15th birthday weekend, and also on that weekend we had the big WABL fire.
Oh, that's right. There was the fire.
Yes, the radio station burned to the ground. There was nothing left but the cinder blocks and the concrete foundation. All the internal stuff, the equipment, the 14 years, I guess, at that time of records that had been released since 1956, all the mementos from 56 to 69, all that was lost. 3 months
after your start in radio, and then the radio station burns down.
Yes.
So what are you thinking at that time? Are you thinking that the dream is on hold, it's over?
I thought the dream was over. And then when I found out a few changes that were going to come when it came back, then I also thought the dream was over. But I briefly disabused myself of that. And that was we were changing to an all-country music format because it was going to be too much trouble to get music from multiple formats after the fire. So they decided to go with just one format, and it was country. So instead of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, all of a sudden I was going to have to get acquainted with Merle Haggard and Conway Twitty and Porter Wagner.
All things outside your wheelhouse.
Yes, it was outside my comfort zone. But I also knew by that time I'd had a taste of radio, and I wanted to make a career of it if I could. And I knew 3 months of experience was not going to be enough.
Right.
So I've got to stay around here and be country DJ for a while and get me some more experience. And it kind of grew on me. Within about 6 months, I was liking country music.
There you go. So I want to throw a sidebar out there.
Okay.
On our Facebook post, and if you follow us on Facebook, then you saw it. As we teased the day, we said Richard's seen fire and he's seen rain. He actually saw them all within 4 months. I apologize. I'm not pushing 40 yet. I'm not apologizing for my age, but I'm trying my best to relate as being a young gun to the old gunslinger here. Mm-hmm. And the biggest storm that I have, and we in Southeast Louisiana, we use hurricanes as kind of time stamps. So Katrina is the storm.
Yeah.
You had moon landing, Ted Kennedy, Woodstock, fire, Hurricane Camille. Boom, one right after the other.
Yeah, so right after the other.
Now, when we come back, I want to talk about all the format changes, all the things that you got a chance to experience. We're going to take a break. We've got some Kenny Rogers right here. No country music. Even though the format changed, it all came back, and we still got all these great tunes and a whole lot more with Richard Dees coming up here throughout the 9 o'clock hour on WABL. You guys stay tuned. Here's Kenny Rogers, Ruby, on WABL.
You've painted up your lips and rolled and curled your tinted hair.
WABL, Amite, Louisiana, 1570 AM and 97.3 FM.
Join us as today WABL and the Amite community celebrate the 47th anniversary of the original outlaw, Richard Dees' career in radio.
Hey Richard, it's Karen from the Amite Tangi Digest. Congratulations for 47 years in radio. It has been a pleasure working with you to deliver the news. The staff of Amite Tangi Digest would like to wish you the best in continuing your next 40 years.
That's what we're doing today. It's 27 minutes after 9 o'clock. We are celebrating the 47-year anniversary in radio of the original outlaw, Richard Dees, and I have our very own gunslinger here with me today.
Yes.
So we've had a little bit of time to go out, and it was not hard to find people who you have helped, touched, or who appreciate everything that you've done here for the Amite community and the surrounding listening areas that wanted to give you a little bit of love, send you some well wishes and everything like that. Because you've been through a lot in the last month.
Yes,
specifically.
I had a heart attack the day this program was originally supposed to air. I had a heart attack the day before, and on June 21st, I was having another stent put in my heart.
See, and that's the day before the actual original anniversary.
Yes.
I dare say that the heart attack was caused by all the excitement. That's
actually
that's what I'm going with.
Well, actually, the doctor said it was coronary artery disease and plaque and fat buildup.
All right, so I'll change my original prognosis. It was all the excitement and fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
So we got to cut down on the fried chicken.
In that ribeye I'd eaten 3 or 4 days before.
So in our last break, we talked about a lot of the things that you saw as a young budding DJ coming in at almost 15 years old, and you're playing all your favorite hits. You're talking about the moon landing, Ted Kennedy, Woodstock. That happened 3 months after you started in radio. Then the big WABL fire, Hurricane Camille. And then coming back, you were a kid who was just rock and roll was your thing.
Yes.
And they said, well, hey, guess what? We're bringing the station back. Yay! But it's going to be country music.
Boom.
Boom.
Like a lead
and this is
block hitting my foot.
No way a dig at country music or anybody that listens to country music.
It just wasn't my thing in 69. And I was a rocker.
So is it your thing now?
Actually, I discovered real early on that you can like more than one thing. I could like rock and roll and I could like country music too.
There you go.
They weren't exclusive. I could like both. It was okay.
So we were all AM then. It was all 1570 AM. It wasn't until much longer that the FM tied into it. How many do you think, roughly, if you had to guess, in 47 years, how many format changes do you think that you have been a part of?
Probably about a dozen if you count all the stations I went through. And
no, we're not worried about them.
Okay, just
no, I'm
WABL,
kidding.
About 3 at WABL.
So 3 different format changes at WABL.
From variety to all country, and then in 95 we started a little bit of variety again. When I came back, I reintroduced a little rock and roll. I started doing an oldie show on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, so real quickly, I want to... 1969 to 1973 was your original run with WABL. Yes, my
original run with WABL.
And then it wasn't until 95 that you came back. And you've actually, the biggest marathon of your radio career, 95 to today. Current day with WABL. Today.
That's more than I spent anywhere else.
So 73 to 95 is 22 years away from WABL.
Yeah.
Where were you, man? We don't have to spend a lot of time there, but where did you go?
Briefly,
what did you do?
I left here and I went to a radio station in Macomb, a little AM station there. It no longer exists. It went dark about 2001. And 1980, I was able to come back to Tangipahoa Parish Radio to the Hammond stations. The Chauvin family owned the 2 stations at the time, and they gave me a job, and I did like I did in 69 when I started out. I took all the unpopular shifts that nobody else wanted. Hey, I'll take that shift. Sure, I'll work Sunday morning. Sure, I'll work at midnight Saturday night.
For all you kids out there wondering how to get in radio, that's how.
That's how. You take all the undesired shifts that nobody else wants to work.
You walk into the station, ask if you can have a job sweeping the floor, watch the radio DJs, learn the equipment, and go, Yeah, I'll work midnight to 4 a.m. I'll gladly do it.
Yes, that's how you do it. That is how you do it.
And then, unfortunately, when the tenured guy leaves or passes on, rest in peace, Charlie Hart, that led to your first general manager job.
Yes.
Which was with
WABL.
This station right here, again.
And I continued in that until Monique came in the fall of last year.
Sorry! That's...
And, you know, I was happy to see her come on. At this stage of my career, I'm wanting to slow down a little bit. I want to be a DJ again. I don't want a whole bunch of other stuff anymore. I've done news, I've done sports, I've done football play-by-play. I've stood at the runway at the Hammond Airport when Hurricane Andrew was blowing, calling in a telephone report on the air while I was barely able to stand up and the wind's blowing my hair straight up in the air.
See, that's one of those other things that you and I have in common. As radio guys, we got into broadcast and DJ for love of music. Not that we have a problem with responsibility at all, but this is way more fun.
Yeah, the music's the fun part. Yeah, and talking to girls while the song's playing, or the girls call up with a request. That's still fun at my age.
So, ladies, keep calling, will you?
That's fun even at my age. I love to talk to ladies.
I hope my wife is not listening to today's show. That's no, I kid. So what were some of your highlights? I mean, in a career of 47 years, you had to do some pretty amazing things, I imagine.
Yeah.
So what do you think were some of your highlights? You know, you ever get like a high-profile interview or anything like that?
Well, I don't know about any high-profile interviews. I interviewed some of the country music stars in the late 70s, early 80s and all.
So who would the listeners recognize as people that you got to interview?
John Anderson, Johnny Rodriguez, Jerry Jeff Walker. That's the three that I did on their interviews with. And got invited to the back of the bus a few times off the air. We won't talk about that though.
No, those stories.
Yeah. Okay.
Those stay within these walls.
Yeah.
You want to hear those stories, you're more than welcome to come visit us, but no.
Yeah.
So you, 47 years in radio. I'm slowly approaching 20. Most of the people that get into radio are lifers in radio. So you had 25 years away from the station or 22 years away from the station. When you came back in 95, was there anyone here that was still here from when you left the first time that you were surprised to see?
No, I wasn't surprised, but Charlie Hart was still here. He spent his whole radio career at WABL from 1960 until he died at the end of 2010, December 28th, 2010, when he passed away.
And a lot of our listeners out there remember Charlie Hart. We're asked about Charlie every day. And I want to let you know, we talked about this off the air. He's still here, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all want to come talk with Charlie? He's still here. He's still I promise you.
Yeah, his spirit's still in the building.
Let's see if we can hear that thump outside right now. Come on, Charlie. Now he's going to be shy. I promise you, Charlie Hart is still with us. So, I have some personal questions that I want to ask you, but I'm not going to ask you now. We're going to wait.
Okay.
This was one of the things, when you came in this morning, this was one of the first songs that you were telling me about, besides the Beatles, that was the number one when you started.
When I started.
This is one of the ones that you were most excited to play and actually surprised me a little bit. It took me to rock school here for a minute. You do it. You do it. It's your show.
Okay, is that the Led Zeppelin one? You got to refresh me.
It's Led Zeppelin.
Good Times, Bad Times?
Good Times, Bad Times.
Okay, that was their first 45 RPM release after they first, joined together. They had all been in other groups, and when they joined together as Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page and the rest. Mm-hmm. This was their very first record that Atlantic Records sent to the radio stations to introduce Led Zeppelin.
So for all you, like me, who thought that Led Zeppelin was primarily a 70s band, you'd be surprised to know, because all today's music comes from 1969. Richard taking us all to school. It's Led Zeppelin, Good Times, Bad Times on WABL. More with the original outlaw, Richard Dees, just after this.
It's said that home is where the heart is. Well, in that case, welcome home to 97.3 FM, 1570 AM, the heartbeat of A-Meet, WABL.
Serving the community for over 50 years, Bear Creek Western Store has the largest selection of top brands for cowboys and cowgirls far and wide. Covering 18,000 square feet, Bear Creek Western Store is located at 35999 Highway 16 in the country, where a Western store is supposed to be. Check them out Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., or Saturdays, 10 to 6, or give them a call, 225-777-4578. Don't forget to like them on Facebook to get the latest updates on inventory and sales.
Right now, one of 3 drivers is cruising around in a state of skepticism about just how much value their car insurance is delivering. If you're one of them, State Farm agent Robbie Lee and Amy can help you get to a better state because he'll talk with you, listen to you, and help you put together a policy that has you written all over it. From cost to coverage, all backed by 24/7 customer support. Feeling less skeptical? Then call State Farm agent Robbie Lee and Amy, 985-748-9000, and officially get to a better state with State Farm. Looking for a great used car? Stop by Southern Star Auto Group, where car buying is made easy. Southern Star has the best selection of used cars and easy financing available. Located at 902 Avenue G, Kentwood, next to Kangaroo. Stop by and see Pierce, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tell them you heard it on WABL 97.3.
That's us, 97.3 FM, 1570 AM. It's 9:41 on this Thursday morning. David Storm, honored to be behind the booth. Even though I know it's a little unsettling, we got Richard Dees, the original outlaw, WABL's own gunslinger, right across the table from me today. And we are celebrating his 47th anniversary of the start of his career in radio. Richard, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to do this with you.
Well, thank you, David, and thank you for being here, too.
Oh, my pleasure. So we've talked a lot about your history in radio, starting at a very young age, but actually, as my research shows me, your radio career started even earlier than your actual first paid shift at the age of 14.
Yes.
As a 10-year-old boy?
Summer of 1964, I was introduced to the inside of the radio station for the first time. It was in front of the people. I'll tell you the story briefly. It was in front of
real
the
quick,
people's...
inside of which radio station?
WABL.
Wouldn't you know?
Yes, they were located downtown at the time. WABL studio was on top of the Rexall drugstore. It was People's Cash Pharmacy drugstore, the Rexall drugstore, where the Fox's Pizza place is now. We were in
I know that
part
building.
of that building.
Okay.
That was the WABL studio from 56 to 65, I think, or 66. For about the first 9 or 10 years, it was there.
So till 66 it was there. Then after that it moved into the building where we currently are.
No, it went to North Amite, off Highway 51 on Folks Lane, where the steel foundry is now. It was there for a couple of years. That's where the tower and transmitter was from 56 to 68, I think.
So for those of you for the people out there listening that are just getting the history lesson, which physical incarnation of WABL caught fire?
This one here. It was...
so this one, which is on Bankston Road?
On Bankston Road. This building here in 69. In 67, they moved from the Rexall building in, I think, 66 to where the transmitter site was, where the steel foundry is now, by the flashing light between Amite and Roseland.
Yeah.
And when they got the agreement to bring the steel mill from New Orleans to Amite, of course, WABL had to vacate the transmitter site and everything, and Mr. Fitz, that owned the station
big old
at
fancy
the time,
New Orleans,
bought the land here that we're on now, and he moved the transmitter and the tower. That was a big operation to do all that moving. Move the tower, the transmitter, and everything, and build a building here to house the transmitter and the broadcast facilities. And that happened in 68. And then the station burned in the summer of 69.
So how did you... at what age did you develop an interest in radio?
Well, actually, I started listening when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I discovered about 57 or so that I could reach up and turn the radio on and get music.
Okay.
And I could turn it around a little bit and tune in until I found rock and roll. So I was raised on Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis and all.
When I was younger, I grew up in the 80s. So by that point, you were already a 20-year veteran.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, I had, in the early 80s, we had those little play school tape recorders with the microphone that was connected to it. I was running around making my own little tapes, pretending I was a radio DJ.
Okay.
Again, we're talking about similarities between the two of us. This was kind of your version of that, you being on the radio. Did you ever run around and like, were there radio show hosts that you idolized that you tried to emulate or imitate or?
Not so much that, but in summer of '64, I found out from a friend. I went to the drugstore downstairs from the radio station and got me an ice cream cone. When I walked out, one of my friends was standing on the sidewalk. We talked about the radio station being right there. I had a little radio in my hand and was playing it at the time, a little handheld one. He said, you know, if you go up there, they'll let you watch them work if you're quiet. My eyes got big. They
See you bye.
I said, yeah, I was straight up the stairs to go have a look, see for myself. And sure enough, Charlie Hart was there. He said, yeah, you could watch, just when the on-air light comes on, silence, or you kicked out.
Okay, so Charlie Hart on air, you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
Then 4.5 years later, Charlie Hart's there, and the same young. Did he remember you?
Yes, he remembered me. I was there every day that summer.
Not only did he remember me, but I made sure he'd never forget me.
Yeah, late in the day, the DJ in them days had to sweep the floor and all. We were janitor too. Empty the trash cans, sweep the floor. The last guy there.
See, how nice that we have a cleaning staff now.
Yeah.
Lies. We have DJs still sweep floors, kids.
Yeah, we're still sweeping the
DJs
floors.
still sweep floors, kids.
Yes. But Charlie would let me change records if he was in the back part and the song ended. He'd say, punch this button. If the record ends before I get back, punch this button and it starts the next song. You can't talk, but you can switch songs. That was my introduction to radio. I got to change the song when I was 10.
Okay, so this is the story that I haven't heard yet, but I anxiously anticipate hearing, and I want you to share it with everybody so I can hear it for the first time as well. There are some radio show hosts, and I'm not going to say which ones do and which ones don't, that don't use their real names. Richard may, he may not. That's at his discretion if he wants to share. But undoubtedly, every radio station DJ or every DJ will come into a nickname of some sorts.
Yeah.
You came into the original Outlaw.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Okay. That was from the late 70s, early 80s. Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. And all popularized the outlaw country stuff, had a more rock, kind of a rock edge to it. And they sang about things that the Nashville establishment didn't particularly want them singing about, but they did things their way with their own band and not the studio musicians and all. And they were called outlaws. So I says, well, I'm an outlaw too. I do things my way. I don't care if anybody likes it or not. So that just kind of morphed into my radio nickname. And when I went back to WFPR in Hammond in 1980, I was playing Willie and Waylon, so I just started calling myself the Outlaw on there.
Okay, I dig that story. And if you had the pleasure of hanging out, talking to Richard Dees, you'll understand how true to life the Outlaw moniker may actually be. Yeah. If you haven't yet and you see him across town, stop him, ask him, talk to him. He's a very approachable person.
Yeah, I always talk to everybody.
He'll share the stories with you, and they're good ones. So, I want to come back with you one more time before 10 o'clock,
okay.
And I want to find out what's in the future for Richard Dees. 47 years is an amazing milestone, but people like us, we don't quit. We don't stop doing this.
I've recovered from a heart attack, and we'll announce my future plans in the next break here.
So stick around to find out what is in the future for Richard Dees as we eclipse 47 on the way to 50 and beyond. We're coming back with more music right now. Here's some Steppenwolf from 1969, Rock Me. You're listening to David Storm with Richard Dees, or Richard Dees allowing David Storm to sit in. Either way, we've got Steppenwolf on 97.3 FM, 1570 AM, WABL. We are the heartbeat of Amy. 97.3 FM, 1570 AM, WABL. WABL is inviting you to join our club.
It's the WABL Birthday Club. To join, just email us at wablameet@gmail.com with your name and birthday. It's just that easy. At the end of every month, we'll draw one lucky Birthday Club member who had a birthday that month to receive a free cake from Brown's Cake Shop on Highway 16 in Amite. It's the WABL Birthday Club, and the club starts June 1st. So get your emails into us today at wablameet@gmail.com.
Hood Memorial Hospital remains committed to expanding and improving services by adding a new physician to the Amite Rural Health Clinic. Dr. Zachary Prey, a hometown full-service physician and Oak Forest Academy graduate, brings a wide range of progressive medical knowledge to the clinic as well as Hood Memorial Hospital. Specializing in family medicine, Dr. Prey's services are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call today to schedule your appointment at 985-748-7141. Walk-ins are welcome after 4 p.m.
Blue Bayou Dixielandin is the summer fun place to be. We are the South's largest water theme park with over 75 attractions, a special section for the little ones, and all on 80 acres of fun. And we're family friendly. 2 great parks, 1 great price. Lots of family fun, food, and memories, and we're a short drive from wherever you are. Plus, you can get $5 off with any Coke can. Blue Bayou Dixielandin, I-10 at Highland Road, Baton Rouge.
Join us as today WABL and the Amite community celebrate the 47th anniversary of the original outlaw, Richard Dees' career in radio.
This is Monique Gregoire, WABL station manager. I just want to take a few minutes to thank Richard for his years of dedication to WABL. When I came on board, Richard had been single-handedly running this station for many years, sometimes driving up here at night just to check things out, get us back on the air, or doing whatever needed to be done to keep it going. He is the reason that WABL has remained on air for so long. 47 years through various markets is an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations and happy anniversary, Richard. We're so happy to have you on our team.
All right, good morning. That's the Ballad of John and Yoko by the Beatles right here on 97.3 FM, 1570 AM, WABL. David Storm sitting in with you. We are approaching 9:58. Now, typically our morning show goes from 7 to 10. We may go over just a little bit today, and with all due respect, I'm okay with it. Because what we're doing today is history making. It's like getting a chance to view Halley's Comet. We are viewing a 47-year retrospective look back in the career, the history of the original outlaw, Richard Dees. And while certainly we will gather next year to celebrate 48 and 49 as we make our way to 50 and beyond, 47 will never be achieved again, I dare say.
Yes, it's a one-time deal here, and I've enjoyed my career immensely, and I'm looking forward to many more years.
So
not going anywhere.
47 years behind you. You say you're looking forward to many more years, not going anywhere. Is there anything that's still on your radio bucket list? Anything that you
that I haven't
done that you want to do before you decide to retire?
Not really. I just want to take a vacation and go to Colorado with my brother and his wife. My brother's father-in-law has a cabin in Colorado, and they've invited me for a week's vacation when they go up there once a year. So maybe in a year or two, I'll get to go to Colorado and sit on the side.
I was about to say, it sounds like next weekend, all programming will be on automation, as the staff will be in Colorado. Yeah. Oh, we could dream.
But anyway, I do have some future plans here coming up starting next week.
Okay. So, that was what I wanted to ask you about, because the station has, for the most part over the last month, only had traces of Richard Dees as you've been recovering from the heart attack, which, by the way, was not your first.
No, it's my second heart attack. My first one was in December of 2012, so this was heart attack number 2.
This guy's Timex.
I met a man
takes a licking, keeps
last
on
week, though, that had 4 heart attacks.
All right, you're not in competition with him, though.
No, but
so
he
long
showed
as you
me
understand.
the scar down the middle of his chest. He'd been split open like
Superman.
Thanksgiving turkey there, and I've only had stents put in. So,
goodness gracious.
Every time I think it's woe is me, I see somebody who has more woe than I do.
And that's how you stay blessed.
That's how I stay blessed, and I appreciate my blessings. But anyway, I want to announce.
Absolutely. What's next for Richard Dees?
Yes. You are the new morning show host. That is official now. And
Okay.
I'm moving, so you have the morning show.
I'll
That is
do it.
official. Well, it's your turn. I've done it many years. It's your turn to wake up early. You can wake up at 5 a.m. and I can sleep a little bit later.
I
I'm
will
going to be
take
doing an afternoon show starting next Tuesday.
Come on.
Yes, I'm going to be the same shift I originally came to when I came back in 1995. I did the afternoon shift. So
There you go.
I'm going to be doing 1 to 4 Monday through Friday. Actually, we're going to start Tuesday next week because I have a doctor appointment Monday. But starting Tuesday, I'm going to be on there 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday with an afternoon show.
So history being made right here. Not only we celebrating 47-year career in radio, for so long WABL has had one live program during the week, the morning show. Now you've heard it announced 2 live programs airing on WABL.
Right after lunch, 1 to 4.
I'll take the morning show. And Richard's coming back for a Daily Dose with Richard Dees. That's not an official show title. It could be. It's submitted.
Just Richard in the afternoon. Probably.
Richard in the afternoon from 1 to 4 starting Tuesday. And that is of next week.
Yeah,
so
August 2nd.
So August 2nd, look at that, right at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Changing things around. All part of the brand new sound of WABL. Good things on the horizon for all the listeners. Great things on the horizon for Richard Dees.
And one more thing I'd like to say as we close out.
Absolutely.
Kind of a special song to close out with.
Okay.
And this kind of ties in with the recent violence we've had on the news nationally.
Do tell me more about
Louisiana.
that. I'm not familiar with this recent violence.
Yes, but all the murders and the rioting and everything.
Yeah.
And John Lennon addressed that back in 1969, another period when there was lots of riots and civil unrest, much like we're having today. And I thought I'd just close out with this one and hope that everyone will give peace a chance. So I'll see y'all Tuesday. Thanks for listening.
Fair enough. Good morning, everybody.